Can you move this a little closer, maybe? Ah, I have got a lot. All right, we already got one person in the room. Tell me who you are, whoever the person is. If you're not somebody who's brand new and maybe you're shy, but if you're not shy and you're comfortable, go ahead and let me know who you are. As always, this is Derek O'Father-in-Law with I'm the host of the Medicine Shell. And today's topic is Uche Chukwu. We're going to be talking about what is Uche Chukwu, what is wisdom from Chukwu, what does it look like, what does it feel like, and so forth. This talk is a little bit of a preliminary because in the patreon.com/the medicine shell, we're going to be having a discussion tomorrow. We're going really in depth on the concept, excuse me, on the concept of Abia or Abia Chukwu, most specifically Abia Nkata. This is your basket of wisdom, right? And it is a very integral part of Odinani. So if you are an artist or somebody who works in the world of inspiration, this is the discussion for you. Go ahead and join at patreon.com/the medicine shell. But I'll be introducing the topic here. Snapple and Cats and there. Well, I was asking we had one person in here. So I was asking who it was, and I had a feeling it may have been you. There were one there. All right, so if we can get about 15 people in here, I'll go ahead and begin. Today's topic is Uche Chukwu. I haven't posted it on Patreon, so let me go ahead and do that now so that the patrons know that we are live. There will everybody. We're going to be talking about what is the wisdom of Chukwu. How do you know that wisdom is from Chukwu? We are live discussing Uche Chukwu. All right, we're going to actually specifically be focused on an ilu that says Uche Chukwu abugi uche mado. Uche Chukwu abugi uche mado. Chukwu's Uche is not human Uche. It's not the Uche of the person or the being. Further translated, God's wisdom is not mortal wisdom, is not human wisdom, right? So let me go ahead and post this on Patreon. I said we got 4 people in here. Whoever is in here, give me a shout out. Let me know who you are so I can say Ndewo to you properly. We are going to begin once we get 10 people in here. Let me post this on Patreon. We are live. Join the discussion if you're available. There we go. This is an intro to what we will discuss in tomorrow's group study. Once we get 10 people in here, I'm going to go ahead and begin. Did anybody get a chance to see the interview I had with Sirius Ugo? All right, let's see where this goes. Did anybody get a chance to see the interview with Sirius Ugo? Let me see what you guys are saying. Hi, Dilly Ho. I feel like Ned Flanders. There, whoa, ha 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 ha. I saw it. It was very fascinating. Okay, dope. Glad you guys had a chance to see it. My next video is going to be on Akaraka, poem reading in the Igbo tradition. I'm going to be explaining what every line on the poem means and the what am I gonna say? What each line means and how to read it. And then there's something about Igbo poem reading that makes it different from poem reading anywhere else in the world. Or perhaps the other forms of poem reading had this particular wisdom embedded in them a long time ago, but what I know about them as of now has kind of lost that aspect. So there's something very unique. And in that video, to get the video done, because it's very hard to find a poem reader in the Igbo tradition who does akaraka, right? So my dad had to go and find somebody, and even the person he found was trying to make sure he wasn't the police or anything like that, just because of some of the chaos going on back in Nigeria right now. There was a time that they were targeting Dibias, the police were targeting Dibias, but that's an entirely different story. I saw the interview with Sirius Ugo. Ndewo, awesome. What'd you think? I'm thinking about interviewing more people or just having conversations with more people. I'm starting to enjoy it a lot more than I used to when I began. Not that I don't like talking to people, but I don't see myself as an interviewer. So Gem. Ndewo, Gem. Okay, we are at 11 people. Once we get to 15 people, we are going to go ahead and begin. For anybody who is new, my name is Derek Ofadarunwa with the Medicine Shell. I teach Igbo spirituality, culture, and cosmology. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit like if this is a topic you're interested in. I post very regularly. And then, of course, you can check the channel and see what I've been talking about up to this point. For those of you who are in the room, I don't know what I did to you. I don't know if there's a problem, right? I don't know what the conflict is, but we got 13 people in here and only 9 of them have hit like. Okay, now I'm at 10. So, and the person that hit 10 hit it while I was talking. So they already knew that I take this hitting like thing very seriously. Because if you're in the room right now, go ahead and hit like. Go ahead and hit like. Share this with anybody who you think would be interested in this topic or these topics, right? Already hit like and they will, I see you. I did recommend my Gullah Geechee friend. Did y'all ever connect? I don't know if we've connected. So if the person has reached out to me, they would have to say, oh, I came from, this is how I heard about you, or so on and so forth. Because, I've been blessed to get a lot of messages. And so I don't know if that was one of the people. But nobody has specifically said I am a Gullah Geechee person and so on and so forth. Ndewo to everybody. Yawniverse. Ndewo. I was just reading one of your comments before I came on live, so that's dope. Somebody said, let me try to get the chat on here, because I have a hard ass time reading these things in real time. Once we get 15 people in here, we're going to begin the discussion. The discussion today is about Uche Chukwu. This is a very simple introductory conversation, because tomorrow on the Patreon, we're going to have a very in-depth discussion on the concept of Abiankata, which is your divine basket, your wisdom basket, the basket that you have, which receives from Chukwu. We're going to be looking into a lot of the symbolism in Uli and in Sibiri. We're going to be discussing this concept of Abia and how it's kind of a universal, not even kind of, it is a universal concept and depicted in a very universal way. This is only the introduction. The in-depth convos on Patreon, but we have hit 15 people, and they will know everybody. All right, now that we are officially official, let's get this thing started. What? Okay, cool. Now that we are officially official, let's go ahead and get this thing started. All right. As always, I begin by breaking Aji. I'm in an Aji-less part of the country, so I don't necessarily break it because I don't want to use up the few that I have. But either way, it's the same thing. I'm presenting the Aji in this device here, known as the UFO. Anything you use to present the Aji is known as the UFO. Not roughly, but translates to vessel of remains. So what I have in here is a symbol of us, our ancestors, and everything that brings us together, our connection to the earth and Chukwu and everything else that comes together to make us exist, right? So with that being said, let me go ahead and begin. All right. Okike Kerua. Okike nenye na-abịa nkịta. Ala nne mmadụ na nne mmụọ, ala amụrụ anyị niile, na-enye ndụ, na-enye nri, na-enye ụlọ, na-enye ihe ọma, na-enye ahụ, na-enye akọ na uche. Ọkwa ọjị ka anyị ji na-ekele gị. Ọjị abịala. Ndị iche anyị niile na ndị ọkpụ, ndị mbụ na ndị egede, ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ, ndị eke, ndị orie, ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ, ndị anwụ, ndị mmiri, ndị ajana na ndị ikuku. Ọjị abịala. Ụwa ọjị ka m ji na-ekelekwe unu niile, mana ọjị nke bụ ọjị ndụ. Ọjị nke bụ ọjị Uche Chukwu. Ọjị nke bụ ọjị anyị ji ama onwe anyị na eke, na orie, na afọ, na nkwọ. Ise. Receive it, receive it, receive it. All right, let's go ahead and begin. Think we got some questions already. If you're new, I'm going to break it down to you. I explain a concept in Odinani, or kind of explore just any random thing that comes to my head. The more questions I get, the longer I stay. Once the questions stop, I stop. So Chimoge, Ndewo Chimoge. I feel like we ain't talked in a while. Is Are the words ufo and afo related? Yes, they are. But you're only going to get that from the medicine shell because we have done a lot of critical thinking and on the concept, and we have an understanding about this that is not common, or I have done a lot of critical thinking. But yes, the words ufo, afo, ofo, ifo, all these words are related to each other. They are all connected, right? The word fo in the Igbo language is remains, right? It's remains. Anything that fo remains, right? So my last name is Ofo, right? It has that fo in the beginning, Ofo. That word means remains. And then all of the attachments you put in the beginning will give that the word remains a more specific meaning. I've said this before when discussing Gedu, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but the Igbo language is very mathematical, right? It's very much like math, where I know that if I put 2 zeros behind something or 3 zeros behind something or 4 zeros, it all has different meanings, right? So Igbo works very much in that way. If you take fo, and you put a letter in front of it, that's going to give it one meaning. Another letter will give it another one will give it another one will give it another, right? So understanding this is actually how we put together the Kedu program, and which is why we're able to teach people Igbo in 3 months. Really less, right? Really less, but able to teach people or get people to the conversational level within 3 months because we have an in-depth understanding of it. But yeah, the word fo, afo, ofo, ufo, they're all related. I did not expect it. It means remains somehow. Yes, remains. I don't know what you meant by that comment. But let us go ahead and begin. Before we begin, what does Odinala mean? Awesome. Odinala, right? Odinala is Odi as it is, or it is, right? It is. It is as it is. Its state of being. Odi na. On or in, right? On or in Allah, earth, the land. Odinala, as it is on the land, right? It is observation, it is science, it is the deciphering of reality as it is. It is truth, right? Odinala bwezioku. It is truth, right? So the quest for truth, the accumulated body of knowledge that is inspired by or comes from the pursuit of truth and the understanding of reality. That is Odinala, right? Odinala. It is paired with the concept of Omenala. Omenala is often translated as culture, but Omenala specifically says as it is done on the land. Odinala, as it is on the land, right? So hoping that difference kind of helps you see, okay, I get it. That's what that means now, right? Omenala is culture. Based on Odinala, we form Omenala, right? The Odinala tells us how the land is, what the reality of the situation is. Omenala is in, okay, this is how we will act in accordance so that we are in alignment, right? The pairing of the two brings you in alignment with truth, nature, and reality. Ademma. So thank you for that question. So the question, or not the question, today's topic, people going to Kedu either not being able to speak Igbo well, average person at all, leave low-key better at speaking than average Igbo. Hey, Chiboke, we're going to keep that to ourselves, man, because if we said that out loud, it'll be too controversial. But yeah, I had he won't mind me saying his name. I remember I had a conversation with Mikhail and Chimoge, you remember Mikhail? And Mikhail is a student in Kedu. And he was like, do you know my mom doesn't know how to say meeting in Igbo or something like that? I was like, yeah, you're learning things that a lot of people just don't know, so that kind of thing. So yeah, you're gonna be walking out with a higher understanding, right? But yeah, you're not the first one to say that. First time in the live chat, Jeremy James, and if by the way, if this is anybody's first time, let me know. So let me go ahead and begin. So we came here to discuss the concept of Uche Chukwu. Now there's an ilu that says Uche Chukwu abugi Uche Madu, right? God's wisdom is not man's wisdom or human wisdom. God's wisdom is not human wisdom. Uche Chukwu abugi uche mmadụ. In Odinala Igbo, Chukwu is understood as a designer, right? So in the very beginning, if you've seen the first video I ever made was, I think it was called like How God Was Created or something like that, right? And so the basic concept is this. In the beginning, there was a singularity, right? Known as Oma, or Atu, right? From this singularity, the active portion, the chi, separated itself from the inactive person part. Eke. This formed a divine coupling, Chineke, which if you watch the conversation I had with Hugo Serious, he actually said something that caused me to have like a revelation or a paradigm shift. He says, he doesn't say Chineke, he says Eke Nachi, because the eke, the feminine, always comes first, right? So eke nachi is the household that we can call God. If you want a word for God in Igbo, it's Chineke, right? Chineke, right? That's God. It is both the masculine and the feminine that come together, that create things, that create all things, right? And so Chineke separated itself. But in this separation, as the story goes, and there's many stories, but they follow the same beats. They just have different details, right? So in this story, the chi portion separated itself from the greater whole, creating Chineke, creating the world of twos, which is why our ancestors say Wabu, abu, abu. The world is in twos, or the world comes in twos. Everything comes in twos. As I'm looking at you now, I have two eyes, I got two nostrils, two lips, my split down the middle in two hands, that kind of thing. The world creates itself and exists on a principle of twos. The individual is also a pairing of mado, the person, and mo, the oraic self. We can call it the spirit, but the oraic self, most comparable to the sun and its rays, right? Mado na mo, that kind of thing. Anyanwu na baraya, right? The sun and its power and its force. Mado na mo, me and my power, my force, or my spirit, right? So in this separation, the chi element began a plan. It began building something. And the Eke element was not aware of what it built. Because first, the Chi built a four-walled chamber known as Obi Chukwu. And the word Obi, the Igbo language, is very, very, very fascinating because nothing ever means one thing. Every single word has meaning under meaning under meaning under meaning, and they're all connected. One of the things that helps is when you study Odinani and learn the language, you can see the connections a lot more easily than your average person, right? So I was telling you guys earlier, ofo, ufo, what is it? Afo, ofo, ufo are all connected. They're all related, right? But if you don't know these things that we're talking about, you wouldn't see it. If you do know, okay, yeah, it makes sense, obviously, right? That kind of thing. So the obi, and the reason I say that is because the obi chukwu, and obi is where something lives, right? Right? Obi, right? But then the obi is also the heart, right? The heart, the human heart, any heart, right? Or any source where something comes from, right? So Chukwu creates a four-walled chamber known as Obi Chukwu. And within Obi Chukwu, Chukwu is working on something. Now, the feminine Eke aspect, his wife, is curious as to what's going on. And Chukwu gives Eke the instruction, do not open the chamber. Do not open the chamber. Do not look into the chamber and see what's going on. But Chukwu, I'm retelling the story that even started the channel. So Chukwu begins the process of working on his secret experiment, and he's going in and out of the chamber, in and out of the chamber, in and out of the chamber. Well, one of the days when he goes out, Eke has a plan. She decides to open the chamber and look and see what's inside because the curiosity was killing her, right? So she cracked open I missed the part. Now, before she goes in the chamber, she decides to occupy her time by weaving a ball of wool, a ball of string. So she begins weaving a cloth, right? Chukwu leaves the chamber. Eke drops the ball and goes into the chamber, opens it to see what's inside. And the story goes, there's two versions of the story, right? I only told one version of the story because it's more palatable for first-time listeners. The palatable version is she opens it and an explosion happens. A fireball blows out of the chamber, right? So once it's open, there's a huge explosion, and this explosion shatters her body into an uncountable amount of pieces that perpetually spread through time and existence. And this body that's spreading through time and existence is the universe, right? She becomes the universe. She becomes creation, right? Eke, creation. She becomes creation by scattering and exploding. The less palatable version of the story, and now that you guys are a little more familiar, is that Chukwu comes home, sees her doing this, gets angry, and starts ripping her to pieces, right? But either way, all versions of the story, she shatters into pieces. There's an explosion or a shattering event, which is where you get the word uwa. Uwa. Uwa means universe, but it's like a shattered vessel, like a vessel or a container that's been shattered into pieces. That's what it really means, right? So the one of the full names of the universe is Uwa Warawa, the Uwa that is shattered into pieces, right? Uwa that is shattered into chaos. So there's a shattering, a chaotic shattering of creation, which spreads through time and space, right? So then Chukwu begins crying, gets sad, and he begins the process of trying to put his wife back together, right? And in the process of trying to put back the wife back together, that is how we enter the phase of existence we're in. We are in the active project of trying to put things back together. Some say trying to bring his wife back to life. Some say trying to cover her body with a burial shroud, right? The first shroud he covered her in was his own tears, or shimmering. And so in the beginning came water. The second shroud was an assignment, right? So what was this assignment? I know that we're supposed to be talking about Uche Chukwu, but I'm getting there. So what was this assignment? Chukwu looked at all of his different creations and tried to see which one was going to be capable of carrying his wisdom, or etu. Now, the importance of carrying Chukwu's wisdom is that that wisdom has the blueprints of the rebuilding or the project, whatever project it is that Chukwu is trying to put together. Etu is carried in a thing called etu. And so Chukwu, being distant from creation, wanted to put Etu on one of his creations. And so he gathered all his creations together and he asked them to list the 4 market days in correct order. One took their guess, it was wrong. Another one took the guess and was wrong. And finally, an Abara by the name of Agun was able to say Eke, Orie, Afo, Nkwo, the 4 market days. And in saying those 4 market days in correct order, Chukwu took Etu and put it on Agun's head, right? And so Agun knows the design. Agun knows what Chukwu knows. Agun knows the secret project. Agun knows what was in that chamber. And then Chukwu instructed all of the other Abara to tear Agun to pieces and swallow a piece of Agun so that they'll have Agun within them, right? And so they did. They tore Agun to pieces. They swallowed Agun. They all possessed Agun within them. And in possessing Agun, they now have Etu. Now, you and I, as parcels of creation, also have Agun within us. Everybody has Agun. Everybody has an Agun. This part of you is the part of you that connects you to the wisdom of Chukwu, right? It connects you to the original wisdom, right? So what ends up happening is, as we live our lives throughout our lifetime, we're going to receive wisdom directly from Chukwu. We're going to receive assignments directly from Chukwu. These assignments, this wisdom, this revelation is known as Abia, right? It is known as Abia. If you saw my interview with Ugo Sirius, he says that it's through Abia that he makes his art, right? He himself, like, for example, he depicts the Abara. He'll depict the Abara in certain scenes in Igbo cosmology. And he had an Abia that told him of an Abara that had been long forgotten, known as Nemo, right? Nemo. And he wasn't sure if this thing existed, but he had a picture that was coming together. There was a connection. She was going to have ravens, and all these things. And then after putting it together, he now starts looking around and seeing that there are people with the last name Nemo, right? That the understanding of the raven is that the raven is what watches you as you pass transition from one world to another, that kind of thing. Nemwa being the opposite of Omumu, not the opposite, but the pairing of Omumu, where Omumu brings you into life, Nemwa brings you into death, right? And so from Abia, he was able to piece that together, and then he looked around and saw what was going on and said, oh, okay, wow, this actually was a thing with a historical past. I thought I had just come up with something, right? And so this is what it is. Because there is a design and because there is something that Chukwu is trying to do, there's something Chukwu is trying to do. Every now and then we are going to be placed in position to receive a parcel of wisdom, an assignment, a revelation, an inspiration, an idea. This is known as Abia, a light. It is often depicted as light in a lot of religious or spiritual beliefs. It is as a divine light, a light that comes from beyond. And this parcel of wisdom does not belong to you. This is why there's an ilu that says, Uche Chukwu abugi uche mado, right? So the Igbo belief is that the things that come from Chukwu are given to you as a custodian. You're a custodian of it. And with these things, you are to take care of the world or take care of those who did not receive that thing or use it in service of the world or the people who did not receive that thing, because you are similar to a babysitter, right? Parents are leaving the house. They're going to give the keys either to the responsible child or the child that's old enough or the babysitter, right? Once you receive those keys, they're not, or the remotes, whatever it is, it's not necessarily for you to be enjoying yourself. It's not for you to lord over anybody. It's not for you to feel or assert superiority. Rather, you have these things because you have the upright hand, akan kumoto, which is necessary for serving the world and to be trusted with Chukwu's design. Because the original receiver was Agon, and Agun received Etu by proving its own capability, its ability to handle Etu, by saying the 4 market days in correct order, right? And so once received, Agun became a server. It serves the world, right? Agun serves the world. Agun does not do to receive. Agun does not do to uh, be superior or hold things over people or be exclusive. Aghon, what you receive from Aghon belongs to the world because it belongs to Chukwu. It's not yours, right? You are a custodian of that thing, right? And sustaining your worthiness is important for keeping that thing in your hands. So if I hire a babysitter, which I I have 2 kids. I've yet to do that. That idea is too much for me. But if I hire a babysitter and I give the babysitter my child's tablet and I say, hey, for 2 hours a day, he gets to play with his tablet. Make sure he's not, going on anything crazy. Be aware of the games he's playing. If he wants to download games, tell him no, that kind of thing. And I give it to them, and that tablet is for some reason filled with questionable material when I get back, or it's cracked, or just my child is unhappy with how they were treated. Well, I'm taking that thing away, that privilege, that uche, that abia that I handed that person. I'm taking that thing away. In fact, I'm not going to have that person watch my child again, right? And this is the way uche chukwu works. So a lot of people will receive, everybody's going to receive something, right? That's a part of the design. Okay, you're here now, take this, do this with it, right? And you can misuse it. You can use it to destroy creation, right? You can use it to desecrate the earth. You can use it to desecrate your family and the people around you, your community, right? And then eventually the thing gets taken from you because you are not a worthy custodian of that particular thing. So that's Uche Chukwu. That's really all I wanted to discuss today. The reason it came to mind is because tomorrow on Patreon, we're going to be talking about Abiankata. Abiankata is the basket that you use, your celestial basket that you use to receive Abia. But there's a lot more to it. And so in this, our ancestors have an understanding of how to keep your basket clear, how to clean your basket, how to know when you have received something inside of that basket, and then how to, of course, simulate it in your altar so that it is a part of your regular life, or to know what is already in that basket and be able to use it in a way that is in accordance with what the ancestors say. So if you're not a part of the Patreon, join us. I'm going to type the link in the comments here. Patreon.com/the medicine shell. So the way the group studies work is like, it's just like here, like how I'm talking here, but others get to contribute. It's not just me running my mouth, right? So others get to contribute. We're hearing different perspectives from different people. We have like some of the things. In fact, the video I'm working on right now is on palm reading, akaraka. And I actually had to share how many revelations? Two? Is it two? I had to share two revelations that came to me from patrons on the Patreon, right? This wasn't something I got from a DB or anything like that. Is that somebody in the Patreon figured this out. And then they came to me and said, hey, I think this and this and that. And they gave me their reasoning. And then either I believed them right away or I was like, okay, sure. And then later on, I was like, oh shit, he's right. And that kind of thing, because I saw something that confirmed it, right? And usually I like to confirm things in two places before I start saying it. So that's we have very high level thinkers in there with very interesting things to share. It's not just me running my mouth. So Adema. Are Abia and Uche the exact same thing? Are they related but different? I am of the thought that they're the same thing. They're the same thing, right? It's just two different ways of saying one thing. But yeah, they're the same thing. Hey stranger, if I give you money, you take it. Will you take just as good care of my small child as I do? Yeah, well, right, that is babysitting, but hey, the cost of not particularly being, into that idea at the moment is me and my wife have been bogged down in the house for years now. We need to go out really badly. So I need to just get over it. I don't know. Is this a literal story or can we read lessons in the story somewhere? Um, is this a literal story or can we read lessons from the story somewhere? No, it's not a literal story. Uh, Sorry, I'm new to African spirituality. I have no religious upbringing. Yeah, D. Shelton asked, "Is the story I'm sharing is it literal?" Right? No, it's not literal. It is the descriptions of the patterns of creation. Right? So when you're hearing stories like this, the way you pick up the most from it is you don't necessarily need to. Some people would like to personify it because it's easier to remember and retell, but just pay attention to the patterns of movement, how things are moving, how things start from one, separates, this one moves close to that one, explodes, this one begins the process of rebuilding. Pay attention to that pattern because that pattern many cultures will tell you this exact same story, but they'll put different details, and those different details will move in the exact same pattern. So whenever you're hearing mythology, whenever you're hearing ancient stories, pay attention to the patterns of movement. The patterns of movements are going to tell you a lot more than the details, because these stories, I'm going to say stories like this, were received as Abia, right? And when you receive Abia, right, there's an Ilu that says, let me remember exactly how it goes. I think it's Mado tu che utra tu Mado or something like that. Like if you receive wisdom, what is it? I'm trying to think how to translate, but basically, if you receive wisdom, you teach wisdom, right? If you receive wisdom, you teach wisdom. So you can receive a certain inspiration, but you're going to put the details together. You're going to say it in your own language. You're going to use your own imagination to describe what's going on, right? One of the things I noticed, I used to work in psychiatry, is individuals with schizophrenia Specifically, I'm talking about paranoid schizophrenia, right? Individuals with paranoid schizophrenia, because I lived in Nigeria and I lived in America, and I've seen paranoid schizophrenia in both places. And the pattern of movement is the same. The pattern of movement is the same, but the details are going to be the imagery. That's the word, not the details. The imagery will change based on the culture, right? So a person received the uche, this pat, no, I don't want to call it uche. A person received some type of idea and they put it together based on their imagination. So in Nigeria, you get a lot of people who like a relative is trying to steal something from them, their star, their akaraka. A person is trying to steal their akaraka from them, trying to steal their destiny from them. They've used juju to steal it. In America, the government is trying to steal ideas out of my brain, right? So, so, but it's always the same pattern, right? I'm a special person and this one's trying to steal something from me. I'm a special person. The government's trying to steal something from me, or that kind of thing, right? So, very the when you watch the patterns of movement, you begin to see what's really going on, and I would pay attention to that. So, I'll do my. Somebody goes, I mean, is true. Yeah, that U.S. government is something else, and family members, you know. That U.S. government is something else. It does sound like the Big Bang, but the story of the Big Bang is missing parts in comparison. Wow. Okay. To be honest, babysitters aren't often strangers. Man, I'm in the middle of nowhere, so if I were to hire one, it'd have to be, unfortunately. So, but I'm not gonna because the demographics here are not favorable to babysitting. Or Hoochie and Abby, I guess interesting story. Stranger, okay, cool, cool, cool. How do I join to learn Igbo? Cool. Put it in perspective. Ask, how do I join to learn Igbo? So, if you're interested in learning Igbo this year, the website is www.gedu.me. It is an Igbo language program that I put together. We teach the Igbo language using let me not the demographics. Let me pin it to the top. Perspective. I hope you're still here. I can't even see my comments anymore. Okay, there it is. Yeah. So let me retype that and I'll type what the hell it means for anybody that comes in new. Learn Igbo. I'll just do that. Post it there. So, Kedu.me is a language program that I put together. I didn't want to recreate like a European language learning program. I wanted to, as much as possible, strive to follow the ancestral method in learning language and apply ancestral wisdom in teaching language, right? That kind of thing. So there's an ilu that says, onye, well, let me just say it in English, but it's an ilu that says a person who doesn't know how to form an ogene should look at the tail of the hawk, right? Look at the tail of the hawk. And what does this ilu mean? The ilu means that the answers are in nature, right? That if you look onto nature, you can find the answers to the problems that you're dealing with. If you look onto nature, you'll find an understanding for the things you're dealing with because our ancestors believe that all things are created from a finite set of patterns that repeat themselves on different scales and in different places. So if I understand that pattern in the hawk, I can understand that pattern in creating an ogene. An ogene is a gong that's kind of shaped like a bird tail, right? Or a hawk tail. And so what does that mean as far as Kedu goes? So when I was doing Kedu, I said, okay, what's the most effective language learning program in the world? And I looked onto nature, right? And the answer was being a talker. Most of the people who speak any language in the world um, learned. Most people learned a language at the year two, year one and a half, and year three of their life, and so I things like that. So I use that to put the program together. If you don't know what the hell I mean, just go ahead and sign up. You'll the shit works, right? I'll take my parents. I'll take my parents for 5,000 naira, Bob. Okay, hold on, wait. American grandmother make news. Hold on, wait. Okay, I need to scroll way up. All right, there we go. Nigerians, my children, you better take care. My children, you better take care of me when you're old. Americans, my government, you better take care of me. Ah! See why the group study? This is why the group study is one of my favorite things to do in the month. You see that? Nigerians, my child, you better take care of me when I'm old. Americans, my government, you better take care of me when I'm old. Exactly. So, in everybody's imagination, all of these things occupy different places. And when you deal with people from different cultures, if you understand that, then you can understand people a little bit better, right? So the previous live I did, I think it was on filial responsibility. Should you take care of your parents when you get older? And because I saw a tweet where somebody was saying that it was transactional, right? That why would you have kids just so they can take care of you? Why would you have that expectation on them, that kind of thing? But if you don't have the United States government, there's no option. Right? There's no other option, right? That kind of thing. And yeah. So it's Chimoge, you nailed it. Yeah. So I'm doing a lot of remembering of Igbo nowadays. I spent 3 years in Nigeria when I was young. Yeah, same here. Same here. My learning Igbo was a little bit easier than the average because it was a matter of just remembering. But according to my friend who lived there, or my best friend growing up, my Igbo was never good to begin with. He says. So I'm beginning the process. All right, along really because of this channel. I've always wanted to, but the channel made it so that I had no more excuses, which is important. You should always find a way to stop having an excuse. You should always put yourself in a position where you have to do something. You don't have any more excuses. Relying on personal motivation is not sustainable, right? It doesn't work. And so because I wanted to do this channel, I actually was looking for people who would do it, and I would give them the information, like if they spoke Igbo better than I did. And after a while, I was like, that's ridiculous. I'm just going to do it myself. And here I am. My Igbo has improved tenfold since I began. So I'll do my. I actually want to sign up for Kedu though. Question: does Odinani have any perspective on nature of addictions and breaking them? Odugo, yeah. Oh, Odugo. Hey, I think it's the same Odugo. Yes, yes, and I think that's actually a good group discussion. So if you're on Patreon, yeah, but the addiction conversation is a lot. It's not. How do I put it this way? It's something that, based on what I know, I piece together an understanding, and from that understanding, I see solutions. And I also understand the solutions that have been applied that tend to work in the real world, or like the world outside of my own head. So I think that would be a great group discussion topic. So if this is the same, we'll do go high. Either, or if you're on Patreon, I think that's a really good idea for a topic. Ordinary and addiction. Iboga cures addiction. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Iboga cures addiction. That's what I've heard anyway. I've never done it. Same LOL. I like that. Before, you've mentioned not following your Chiago because something that parallels schizophrenia. Wait, what? Okay, so when a person is okay, so the way Agon works, people's Agon has different levels of like severity, right? So some people, if you don't follow your chi, you'll be okay. Nothing's gonna happen to you because your Agon is not as strong-handed, right? If you don't, you'll be nothing's gonna happen. There's no consequences. Nothing bad's gonna happen. But there are people who, if they don't follow their chi, their Agon, the visual is that they drop the basket. And once they drop that basket, the basket we're going to be talking about in the next group discussion on Patreon, patreon.com/medicine shelf, if you don't know, which I don't know how somebody wouldn't know at this point. But if the Agon drops the basket, reality gets scrambled. You don't understand what's going on anymore, right? And that is known as Aragon. When Agon says, all right, buddy, you're on your own. Go, go. That kind of thing, right? Some people, if you don't follow what your Agon came to do, the Agon will still follow you. There's okay, I'll catch you on the next cycle. This person isn't talking about shit. This person don't know what the fuck they're doing. I'll just let them live it out, and I'll do the thing on the next cycle. But some people is like, no, we must do this right now, right? And if you don't do it, you're on your own. And then from there, your ability to piece together the workings of your mind falls apart, right? And so this is typically an individual who is there's typically an individual who is supposed to be a debia but is not doing it. It doesn't mean that once you're schizophrenic you now are a debia. Is that if you're supposed to be a debia and you're not doing it, that thing, that agon is not going to wait for you, right? And say, all right, you're on your own. And then from there, you're going to see all of the things that it was doing for you, putting together for you in your own mind and your own perspective. It takes those things away, and then all of a sudden, everything's scrambled. It doesn't make sense, right? And typically, once it's become typical now because people are like Christian. But typically, once this happened, one of the things you can do is perform what's known as iragon, which is remending the relationship with your agon, right? And understanding that your perspective, the way your perspective is based on the fact that you have this specific calling, and that without this calling, these things aren't going to come together in a natural way or in a conducive way for you and the people around you, right? I have a book on mental health in the Igbo tradition. I always mention I should have it near me, but it's over there somewhere. It's called Healing Insanity. The general idea in Igbo culture is when it's considered an illness is when you become antisocial, right? So you can't work with the rest of society, you can't work with family and friends, that kind of thing. But the arrival of Aragon, if you're still able to function and have that thing, then there's no problem, I guess, whatever. But if it's a problem for you, one of the ways that they rectify it in the Igbo tradition is by performing a ceremony known as Iragon. Now, earlier I said that, it's more common now because a lot of people are Christian. In the past, every child did Iragon, right? Every single child did Iragon. It was just part of growing up. And so, because everybody has an agon, and even if it's not to be a debia, you still have to sit down with your agon and say, okay, this is who I am. Good to meet you. I acknowledge you. As I move through life, move with me. If you need me to know something, show me. If you need me to do something, tell me, right? And then that small ceremony, being able to do that very small thing, allows you to walk in unison with your agon. It's less of a guessing game because you're aware and you're listening and you're waiting for answers and I guess instructions and things like that. So, but yeah, that's the iragon thing. It doesn't necessarily mean when you're schizophrenic you're a debia, but it just means that if you're supposed to be a debia, people who are supposed to be debias, when they abandon or they move away from that, they don't want to do the thing, then agon leaves them alone, and from there, their ability to piece together reality falls apart. Right? There are some people who are supposed to be big billionaire tycoons, and they don't want to go into business, and then their whatever external project, whatever project, it just doesn't work. The thing doesn't work, right? A debia is a person who is highly adept at perceiving reality, right? And reality beyond reality. So if your agon leaves you, your capacity to understand and perceive shatters. If you're supposed to be some type of, or if your agon came into the world maybe to care for others, maybe to be a caring person, and you joined what's that shit called? Hustler University, right? You decided to be an alpha male, right? All of a sudden, the gifts you have that are to be used to be that caring person will leave you because they're not yours. They don't belong to you, right? So now it's the same thing with the remote. Now you're abusing that thing. You're gonna leave it, So all of a sudden, maybe. Right? All of a sudden you're in a Romanian prison, because you're out here trafficking people's daughter. I gave you height, and maybe whatever thing that makes somebody join a Romanian harem. I gave you all those things, and instead of using it to guide people in the direction you're supposed to, you're now you're selling young ladies, So we're gonna take these things from you and give it to people who can handle it, and you enjoy yourself over there. So that is our That is Aragon. That's how Aragon works, right? But doesn't mean everybody in the Romanian prison is supposed to be XYZ or is a work of their Aragon, that kind of thing. It's just your Aragon. There's an Ilu that says that where you see excellence, you see Aragon, right? So your Aragon comes in the world, the person you were supposed to be. I talk about this in my next video on Akaraka. The next video that's coming out, I talk about it a lot. The person you have certain gifts that are tied to who you're supposed to be. Your excellences, the things you're excellent at, are tied to the person you're supposed to be. Now, if you're not being that person, you're going to realize those excellences don't belong to you. They're going to be taken away, right? Same thing with Uche Chukwu, that kind of thing. Can I use that clip? I'm like, yeah, man, go ahead. Yeah, man, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. Not the Andrew Tate takedown. What? Hold up. I'll do my cool, cool, cool. Yeah. Is there anything someone can do in order to not be a debia if they're meant to be? Yes, absolutely. So it's the same Uragon, but instead of saying, okay, I accept, you say, hey, I don't want to do this. So there's a ritual you will do to cut the responsibility, right? Hey, I don't want to do this. Okay, fine. That's cool. It's not by force. Also, you should understand that debia, we talked about Uche Chukwu. So debia is a person who is a master at receiving abia. It does not necessarily mean a healer. A healer is a debia ogun, a medicine debia. There's debia ogun, there's debia, all types of anything you can think of. A debia, an artist, right, is a debia. Anything that pertains to excellence, anything in your celestial cup that is more full than the average person comes from that. But it is full for a reason. But if you don't want to, you say, okay, I don't want to do the thing, that's fine too. You just have to make a formal announcement. Hey, I didn't want to do it, or hey, I don't want to be a debia. A lot of times just doing the Iraq and moving on with your life is fine too, right? That kind of thing. So it's not, a debia is not always a healer. A debia is just a receiver, a person who is a master of abia, debia, right? A master of abia, that kind of thing. So being that cola nuts are important in Igbo culture, are there any taboos surrounding them? Oh yeah, 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 big time. There's a lot of taboos that go around with the cola nut. You cannot hold a cola nut and lie. You cannot hold a cola nut and curse somebody, right? Say something hateful. You cannot give cola to somebody who has committed an abomination, or else that means you too committed the abomination. Um, if cola is being broken, it's going to be the eldest man in the room that breaks it. But if you hand the eldest man the cola and they nod their head, then you get the privilege of doing it, right? Instead, of course, if it's like a room of women, then the eldest woman will then do it, that kind of thing. What else? There's a lot of rules that go with the cola. There's a whole I'll do a cola video. If you guys want to see a cola video, just comment on one of the videos or comment here. I want to see a cola video. I'll put it on the votes on Patreon. So on them. Question one, is Obi Chukwu in Uwa or outside of Uwa? Chimoge, great question. I think it's outside of Uwa. Question two, is Allah more in Uwa, or is Uwa only made up of Allah Mado? Allah more is in Uwa. Allah more and Allah Mado, they're both in Uwa, but I don't believe Obi Chukwu is in Uwa, based on just the understanding and the story and all that stuff. So thank you for that. That's a dope question. In layman's terms, Obi Chukwu is outside of existence, but Allah more is in existence. Uwa is existence. It's the universe. It's just this thing that we're in, right? So Allah more is a part of this thing that we're in, right? You can feel and see the effects of more in real life. But Obi Chukwu is beyond, which is why when Chukwu acts, it acts through conduits, through people in the form of Uche or Abia Chukwu, through the Abara, that kind of thing. All right. Any more questions? You want to be successful? Sign up for Hustler University. Don't eat cola. Oh, low vibration. He said, "Oh man, that's hilarious." Yeah, that's what an UFO is. That's an UFO is a high vibrational plate. That's a great translation. Yeah. Where's my UFO? This right here is a high vibrational plate. If they told you on these here internets, this that's what an UFO is because I'm not supposed to put anything in this that will desecrate it, right? So the only thing I put in here is OG and nzu. I'm not gonna put some sloppy ass meat sandwich or ham sandwich, whatever the hell that she was talking about. So yeah, just yeah, keep yourself a high vibrational this is, Empress says cola, please. Yeah, you can also do divination with cola. You can break a cola and roll it and get answers for your questions from cola. I'm still learning how to do that. Once I learn it, I'm never gonna stop. So I'm still in the process of learning. So y'all are on it tonight. Oh man, we only accept high vibrational plates. He say. Yeah, so if anybody was asking about the four world ages, I have a video on that. If somebody wants to be kind and post a link in here, that would be dope. But yeah, there's a lot to cola. You can do divination with it. There's of course cola like prayers that pertain specifically to cola. Then there's an understanding just using it. Again, you look at the tail of the hawk, you understand the ogene. You can use the cola to understand a lot. A lot. There's also a numerology in Igbo culture that goes with cola, right? So a cola with one lobe means something. A cola with two lobes means something. Three, four, five, six, that kind of thing. The four lobe cola, when you break it and it breaks in four naturally, this is the Igbo cola, right? This is the one that Igbo people use. Um, the anyways, just I'll do a video on cola. I don't want to just spiral out of control talking too much, but yeah. I love to understand more how divination works in general. That video is coming very, very soon. That video is coming very, very soon. The next video is on Akaraka, on palm reading. So, who's your favorite Abara? Right now, I think I answered this last time. Right now, it's Amadioha. Amadioha is my favorite Abara at the moment. Um, yeah, that's my favorite at the moment. Right. So cool. When will the video on masks and masquerades come out? Depends what the patrons say. So, if you're trying to get a word in, go to patreon.com/the medicine shell and put in a vote, right? Put in a vote. You know. Is Igbo cola is the Igbo cola hard to get? A little bit if you live in the US, yeah. You can order cola online. But the most common one you'll get is like the two lobe cola known as guoro. Guoro is okay if you don't have anything, but like you wouldn't give guoro to like an elder, right? You the two lobe cola, right? But it's okay if you don't have anything else. And then there's a thing that Igbo people do where if there's no cola around, you bring something and you apologize that it's not cola, but we're gonna use it as cola today, that kind of thing. So I've seen people bring water. I saw someone bring a rock that I don't have OG for. They had guests come over and they're like, "Oh, I don't have OG, but we'll use this as cola OG today." Everybody laughed, and then the person prayed for everybody and that kind of thing. So yeah, Amadio God of Thunder. He say, "Have you found out any more on Igbo astrology?" Not really. No, not really. Um, I okay. So there's a book in the if you're a patron, there's a book in the library. No, it's called Leopards of the Magic Dawn. If you're interested in Igbo astrology, it used to be available online for like general consumption, but I think it's been taken down everywhere. But we still have it in the library. The author is a friend of mine, so yeah. I got the hookup. So if you go to the library there, he breaks down Igbo astrology. He's a Dibia. and he breaks down Igbo astrology in the book Leopards of the Magic Dawn. But and not that I don't believe him, but I want to see it in other places because it's the only place I've seen it. I want to see it in other places before I now start teaching about it. Um, because DBAs operate different from everybody else, right? They operate different, and sometimes you can't just say what they said because it's hard. How do I put it this way? Sometimes you can't just say what they said because they be saying some things. I can't think of how to say it, but and it's not that they're lying. It's not that they're not telling the truth. It's not that whatever. But like you know, it's whatever. It's just yeah. It's in the library, that kind of thing. So yeah. Hey, Olisa Meka Ndewo. I feel like I've never seen you in one of these, man. Ndewo on the absence of cola. Can you use nzu? Yes, I use both cola and nzu, though I'm running out. Nzu. In the absence of cola, you can absolutely use nzu. You'll get overcharged in the US. Yes, I probably. I'm about to go to Houston, so I'll be stockpiling. They have affordable cola there. But yeah, in the absence of cola, you can use different things. If you could speak on an Abara, okay. If you could speak to an Abara like they were a regular person standing in front of you, what would you want? Who would you want to talk to? Oh, damn. Algon, of course. Of course, Algon. Algon is an infinite well of wisdom. So, yeah, of course, I want to talk to Algon and ask some questions and figure some things out. And that kind of thing. I think Algon would have the best conversation. Algon and Ekwensu, all right? Algon and Ekwensu would have phenomenal conversation. Um, Allah. She may, I mean, maybe I'm a history buff, so maybe she'll tell me what's been going on this whole time, right? What's the history of the world, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, Agon is my answer, and then honorable mention to Quincy. Growing up, my family would just bring guest snacks, not cola. They wouldn't apologize about it not being cola. They still do this. Is that common amongst Igbos today? No, not really. It's not that common. I mean, if you're in America, I mean, people just kind of do the American thing, but yeah, it's usually cola. I mean, you bring snacks too. You bring snacks too. You don't, if your guest comes over, you bring snacks, you bring cola, you do whatever. But a lot of people will be like, okay, I don't have all, if you go home, well, I don't have all G, that kind of thing. Because it's just everywhere. So it's almost like there's no excuse for not, there's no excuse for not bringing it. But I mean, it's America. So it's probably just, oh, I'm in America. So it's not that deep kind of thing. Do you use cola for divination? Yeah, you do. You use cola for divination. Wow, happy day, Chinwendu, Ndewo. I feel like it's been a while. I hope I'm not late. Chinwendu, Ndewo. Yes, happy New Year. Igbo cola is hard for me to get. I need to find a way to make all these things like more available, that kind of thing. I'd love to understand more about divination, how it works. Okay, yeah, we're pretty good at that one. Agon Equin, if I sort it out. Sounds intense. Argon can be vindictive sometimes. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Argon is not kind. Argon can be very rough. Yes, absolutely. Argon might mess with you. They like to trick people. Maybe. You can go to Etsy and buy cola nuts. Yeah, there. I buy mine from Etsy all the time in the US. Okay, dope. Is Nzu the sand from Igbo land? No, Nzu is a very specific stone, but I crush mine up so that I can do things like this and all that. But Nzu is a very specific stone. It is the English name is colane or something like that. It's a white stone that comes from rivers. It's not the same as sand. It's not sand. So it's edible too. You can eat it. I need to do like an Nzu mukbang. I need to do like an Nzu mukbang to really shock these white people out here. Oh man, that very bad idea just came to me now. Maybe it's Adia. Who knows? I paid $2 for one four lobe cola. That's pretty expensive. But I think that's sadly the normal price in the US. Or like if you buy it like over the counter and things like that. So I'll do more. Because they know some people, aka Igbo people, take this thing very seriously. Oh wow, Chumwendu. Hey, Wanyama, Gadi, Igeto, Gabala, Imere no wa, Ogeto, Ogade Otwa, Neke, Yorie, Nafo, Nawo. He said, Chumwendu, thank you very much for the contribution. Appreciate it. You know, the rest of y'all don't be shy. I'm just playing. Oh man, I always hear the word mukbang. Initially thought it was okay. How long should we leave offerings out? Yeah, I get this question a lot. I've been changing out when life forces are drained from the colon. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think there's like a hard rule on when you should take it out. But if you want to follow like the pattern that Igbo people follow, 4 days is fine. When it decays is fine, or even the next day. It's symbolic, right? It's a symbol. So I'm eating this, I'm giving you some. But once the gesture is over, then it's the thought that counts, kind of thing. You can take it out whenever. It's not that deep. I mean, I wouldn't just put it there and then just take it out immediately. That's a whole different symbolic language. But it's up to you. It's no big deal. What I do is I don't bring food often. I usually bring drinks or nzu and cola. But every 4 days on Eke Day, I sweep it. On the Eke Day, Eke Market Day, I sweep it. I clear it out. Today's Eke. You're gonna notice in a lot of my lives that if it's Eke, I'm gonna be like half asleep, and so I sweep it out on Eke Day, um, and that's how I do my own that kind of thing. So whatever I put there on the fourth day, I take it out. So 4 days, I take it out on them. But you'll come to find that anything pertaining to African spirituality is really based on you, if what feels right to you, right? You can get the instructions in the beginning, and it helps you kind of get started and understand what's going on. But after a while, you start saying, you know what, I want to take it out on the new moon. I want to take it out on the fourth day. Mine ended up being fourth day. I want to take it out immediately. I don't want to bring food per se. I don't bring like food per se. It doesn't. You can if you want, but I don't. You know, Nzum's white clay, called Kolain in English. Apparently, you don't pray with the edible Nzum because it's been tampered with. Are you sure? Yeah, you can pray with they're all edible. Which one's not edible? Dumbiri, please let us know which Nzu is not edible because or are you talking about Edo? But yeah, you can pray whichever one. Funny enough, salt, that's for Patreon. We'll talk about that. There's a discussion about salt and spirituality that we're discussing tomorrow on the Patreon and among the many things, but it's actually one of the topics there. So I'll do more. I don't know why I be missing. I don't know why you missed too. Chimwanda, you have to tell me. I don't know why you missed too. So yeah, but yeah, I feel like we haven't seen you in a while. I think we're running out of questions. Where can we learn the characteristics of children born on a specific market day? I've seen in Kedu class. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, Odugo. That is Odugo. Okay, yeah, I've seen you in Kedu class be able to correctly tell which day someone was born. Reminded me of astrology. So I have a video called "The Four Market Days Explained," um, or your four spirits. I can't remember how I titled it, but it's basically the four market days. Got the four spirits or women on there, and in that I explain each market day and the characteristics associated with it and so forth. Yeah, it is. It does remind me of astrology. Um, and yeah, that's what it is. My son is Uri, and he's very creative, very peaceful. He's not a fighter. He's not or at least now in his life. I don't know, maybe later on, but he's not a fighter. He's not like that kind of thing. So Uri people very peaceful. uh, very out of the box thinking, very creative, artistic, that kind of thing. Very disorganized too, right? Very disorganized. That not 100% the most reliable, though he's hyper organized and hyper reliable. So maybe that's something else too. But that's the negatives. Eke people, usually leaders, usually black and white thinking, that kind of thing, just things like that. So yeah, I think it's in the 4 market days video where I go into it. Yeah. So, and I think I'll break that one into like smaller parts so that they're easier to watch. Like, oh, what's your personality if you're Ike? What's your personality if that kind of thing. Why dream? Like, oh, that's hilarious. Wait, let the bad governance come to an end. Yeah, it's election. They're having elections in Nigeria right now. You know, they're having elections in Nigeria. Where are we at? Somebody said, okay, yeah, March. Okay, cool. That's dope. What are the personality traits of Afo? Afo, very traditional, very family oriented, or group oriented, um, a bit self sacrificial. Afo, Afo. Uh, yeah, family oriented, caring. On the negative end, a bit self sacrificial. Uh, yeah, things like that. So, yeah. So, oh, do y'all throw salts? Yeah, you can. But throwing salt and throwing Zoom, they're related. They're related. Have you ever traveled to countries other than the U.S. and Nigeria? No, I haven't. But I feel like there's 2 countries and 2 types of country in the world. It's either the U.S. or Nigeria. So I feel like I've seen the entire world, right? If I go to Mexico, I'm like, okay, this is Nigeria. If I go to Canada, okay, this is the U.S. So I'm not much of a traveler. But yeah, I have hot takes about traveling. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just I don't fucking. It's America, bro. I don't. Where am I going? But no, I haven't been anywhere except the U.S. and Nigeria. I'll be going to Cuba soon, but I haven't confirmed the date yet. And then I'm going to prioritize traveling more so that my opinions um, on travel can be improved. I don't think travel's bad. I haven't priced. I don't see it as a priority for me. I thought people. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say Chimoga. I wouldn't say that. I thought people can get devoted to their superiors. Nah, I wouldn't say that. DNA test or divination. What? I missed a question. How would African American born in America find out their ancestry is Igbo and go to? Send me a picture. I can tell you. Your face. Yeah. Your face. Or you can do a DNA test, ancestry.com, but usually you can just look at the person back oh completely, that kind of thing. I remember Ice Cube had a song talking about what did he say? Basically he looks the way he does because of what happened during slavery. I'm like, hell no, you look like you're from DC. Like I don't I think you maybe not say too much, right? It's just something I think is funny. But yeah, if you look like Ice Cube, you're from DC. I don't know. Okay, that's about it. Lord, I'm always meeting Q&A, step my game up. It's all good. Uh Unqua personalities, very justice oriented. Um justice oriented. They still have that creative aspect that Uriah has. Um Fairness oriented. Um Hero complex, bit of a hero complex. That's about what the Unqua has associated with it. Can have tempers. Nkwa people can be temperamental. Yeah, yeah. Send me your face. I'll tell you right now. Yeah, shit. Question about DNA. I've done Africa and found out that my matrilineal is Bamileke from Cameroon. Bamileke and Igbo are very closely related, but that's dope. You see, all them that African ancestry sure does give a lot of Bamileke. I'm just kidding. No, it's probably legit. It's probably legit. Igbo people had Face ID before, of course. Yeah, just though because all Ethiopians want my son. They say I'm Fulani. My parents would call down fire. That's hilarious. Does the word Aya mean anything in Igbo? It sounds like you're saying something close to Anya, which is I. Um, Aya, yeah. I don't know. It sounds like it sounds like you're saying a lot of things. You're close to saying a lot of things. Like there's I, Anya. So maybe. Uh, where are we at? Best way to learn is on the ground. That's true. Maybe that's why I feel close to people. Cool. I've been told I have a Nigerian jawline. Yeah, that's a thing. And of course, it's a compliment. Yeah, look at that thing. Yeah. Of course, it's a compliment. Aya sounds like Aya, which is war. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that sound like Aya. So yeah. Are Igbo people and ancient Kemet related? Some people think they are. I don't necessarily. Actually, I just did had a conversation with Sirius Hugo. He went into how he sees it and what he believes, that kind of thing, and what he said makes sense. I keep getting told I look Yoruba. Yeah, Yoruba is a very distinct look. Told you you're Igbo somewhere, probably Delta, like my Baba. Adama. Uh, we'll tap your jawline. Uh, what? All right. Oh, sure. DNA test website called Slave Voyages is great to find out what parts of West Africa you could be from, or Central Africa you could be from. That's dope. Yeah. But of course, most people in diaspora, you're mixed with different groups in Africa. Um, some of the mixes are inconsequential, right? It's like, okay, it's the same people anyway, so it's whatever. Oh, I'm part Yoruba, part, I don't know, Dahomey. It's the same people, that kind of thing. But yeah, most people in diaspora are mixed. So yeah. All right, y'all. Looks like we're all out of questions. Wait, no, we're not. Jay saves the day. Is it normal to be the only person in your family that want to claim your culture? Yeah. Yeah, it's very normal. It's normal. I get the sense that most of the people I interact with, I've been fortunate to interact with as far as the medicine shell goes. A lot of people are in the, or J Money. The thing you're saying is happening to a lot of people, but there's an emu that says Madobu Chibe. Yeah? A person is the chi of their peers. So meaning that you doing this thing, you can be a source of leadership, inspiration, that kind of thing, just by going ahead and doing it, right? So the initial thing is you want to tell people to do it, and then you'll get resistance, or some people will listen to you. But the best thing is really to just go ahead and do it and show by example. If your life somehow moves forward better and improves, others will do as you're doing. But yeah, what you're saying, being that first seed or that first spark is not uncommon, or being the only person in your family is not uncommon at all, at all, at all. What languages would you like to learn after mastering Igbo? Damn, that is a good question. I think I would like to learn Latin because it is, of course, the basis for a lot of like English scientific terms. So it would make it easier to understand those terms if you knew that language, is one I'd like to learn. I would like to learn, I'm trying to think of another one that I'd be interested in learning. Oh, yeah, just Latin. I think it has a lot of utility as far as science. And another, I would like to learn a Bantu language. There's a lot of them, so I'm not picky. Maybe like Lingala, maybe Bamileke, maybe Zulu. I think it's gonna help my work a lot if I learn those. So I'd probably learn one of those before I'd even try with the Latin thing because there's a lot to be uncovered there, and so forth. So a Bantu language. I'm not too specific on which one, but if it's Bamileke, that'd be super good, and if it's Zulu, that'd be good too. Or Shona, Bamileke, Zulu, and then Latin somewhere down the line because it'll help you uncode the etymology of a lot of stuff. So Lingala has so much swag. Yeah, yeah, I love the language. It's nice. My introduction to the language is Awilo Lagumba. If anybody knows Awilo Lagumba, so a lot of Awilo music is nice. I used to. Never mind, never mind. But yeah, Awilo is a good introduction to Lingala for me, so that was one I would like to pick. But if I can learn Bamileke, Lingala, and Shona or Zulu, then I can figure out a lot of things that need to be figured out. So, Odemba. No other Nigerian language? Not really. Um, Each of those more to succeed in the environment. One Nigerian language is enough. Oh, this is funny. I'll advise if you're new into Odinani, avoid debating non practitioners, especially Christians, because you might not know enough to defend your belief yet, but it might affect your journey. Man, I'll debate and yeah, 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 I see what you mean. Usually I avoid debates where the point of entry is too low. Like I would have to explain too many very basic things like the, the Bible is not a historical account. I don't, if I have to do that, I don't want to have to debate, right? That kind of thing. So somebody invited me to debate that guy that goes around saying that Igbo people are Jewish, and I I had to pass on it because I don't think he knows that like in Israel they're not using the Bible to teach history, right? So it's not a historical text. It's not what it's for, that kind of thing. So if, like the point, if I have to like start at a point that's a little too like if I have to teach too many givens, I don't want to have the debate, but I'll debate the hell out of anybody, and I'll win too. So yeah, like, a lot of Lingala words are from Kikongo. Yeah, I would imagine. Hey, Jada, kedu, kedu, kedu. Kikongo words wouldn't otherwise come from like, oh, cool. I think I would have a lot of utility from Lingala too because there's a lot of speakers. But yeah, Lingala, Shona, Zulu, Bamileke. Um, a lot, I mean, they'll argue with you, but a lot of the, if you know Igbo, learning other Nigerian languages becomes really easy. It's really easy once, because then you can say, oh, okay, that's the same word, you just say kind of different. So, but they'll argue. They think it's all exotic and super different. Namdi, what are you doing? Namdi,
I want to come here.
is the door locked?
What you say?
Is the door locked?
Yes.
Okay, it's locked for a reason. I'll be out there in a little bit, okay? I'm coming. All right, so today's AK day. I'm supposed to be playing with my kids, so I'm going to leave you guys. Wait, how much would it take for you to debate a Hebrew Israel? Most of like the ones that stand on the street and yell at people, they're very well versed in the thing they're talking about. So I would love to debate them, right? I could definitely debate them. Um, so let's just set it up. I'll give it a try. That's funny as hell. But all right, y'all. This has been a great discussion. What was I gonna say? I'd pay to see it. Cool. All right, cool. Maybe we need to get some debates going. If you guys know like somebody, just set it up. Cause like whenever I reach out to these YouTube ass people, I can respond to email me. They don't respond, and then I don't use Instagram like that. But I would imagine you reach out on Instagram, but I don't even know how to reach out to these people. So if you guys know somebody that you want me to debate, yeah, go ahead and link it up. That being said, guys, I'm going to take off. If you want to support the channel, best way to support is on Patreon at patreon.com/the medicine shell. I would love to see more of you guys in there. Our group study is phenomenal. Patrons also have access to my full library. So earlier I was talking about the book After God is Dibia. That is in there. If you're interested in Igbo astrology and you're already a patron, just message me. Hey, where's that book? I'll send you the link if you can't find it by yourself. If you're not a patron and you're interested in that particular topic, I have a book that covers Igbo astrology and all that. I have like 300, over 300 different documents, articles, books, things like that in there. So any topic you're interested in there is there in full. It also covers a lot of like other African cultures and cultures in the diaspora. So things like Obe, Santeria, Hoodoo, and so forth. So that's all available on Patreon at patreon.com/the medicine shell. And if you are interested in learning Igbo this year, I would of course, be very happy to see you be a part of the program at www.kedu.me. I have the link up top. So we teach the Igbo language and Igbo culture in kedu.me. And if you're there, you don't know, if you've never spoken Igbo, have never heard Igbo, go ahead and sign up for Igbo 1. If you're not sure, like maybe you can hear a little Igbo, so on and so forth, there's a survey towards the bottom. You take the survey. I'll recommend a level for you at that point. So everybody who signs up for Kedu, you get your class that you go to, but you also get a coach. Your coach is somebody in Nigeria who calls you every now and then. You have just a casual conversation, nothing intense. If the only word you know is Kedu, just say Kedu 30 times, right? The whole thing is there to make you more confident in your speaking by way of practice, right? So you have somebody who you can talk to. It is a no judgment, safe space. You can make all the mistakes you need to make because again, anyways, if go to the beginning of the thing if you want to understand why there's a no judgment element to it. So, and yeah, I taught last time and it really slowed down my video production. So I decided I'm not teaching this time, but we do have a new teacher for Igbo 1 and I'm really I'm really excited for people to meet him. Igbo 1 and Igbo 2. I'm really excited for people to meet him because he's very good at what he does, right? Those of you who came into the first class with Kedu, you guys might know Chimezie. It's not Chimezie, but I feel that he's of that caliber and of that quality, and so that's good. So that being said, guys, that is everything I wanted to share today about Uche Chukwu. If we are going to be talking about on Patreon, we're going to be talking about Abiankata Abiankata, which literally says like basket wisdom, right? But it's your basket of Abia that you use to receive from Chukwu. We're going to talk about what that is, how to take care of it, how to channel things, how to use it more deliberately, and so forth in the next group study. So that being said, onogade, nogeto, nkobla no tiriaka, ogade no wa. Ọ ga-adị otu a n'eke n'orie n'afọ na nkwọ ise. All right, y'all. Yeah, Tanya says the coach is in Nigeria. Yes, the coach is in Nigeria. All right, guys. Take care. This has been a great discussion.